What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I'm going to be ranking every Green Day album from worst to best, just to get us ready for Father of All, releasing in just a few weeks at this point. Very, very exciting. Lots to talk about in this video, so let's jump right in. So we have 12 main albums. I'm not counting any like the B-sides like Shenanigans. I'm not counting any of like the best hits, anything like that. It's just the main albums that have released so far. So I'm going to be going in from worst to best, give small reasons, short reasons, I should say, of why they're in each spot and go from there. So number 12 is Trey. In fact, let me just do this real fast. Number 12 is Trey, number 11 is Dos, and number 10 is Uno. Especially Uno, I wanted to move higher, but when looking at their other albums, this was a bad time for Green Day. And I actually like a lot of songs on these albums. We've actually reviewed every single album that Green Day has ever made. We've done all of that on the channel. So if you want to hear my thoughts about each album specifically, definitely go check those out as well. But these are tough albums. These are albums that I thought could have been a whole lot better. I think that if you take like the best 6 songs even from each of these 3 albums, put them together, I think you actually have an elite album. I truly do, because there's a good 5, 6, 7 songs, at least 5 I'd say, on each album that if you put it all together, made like a 15-song album, it'd be very, very good. So I just think in their current state, I mean, Trey, I feel like is absolutely the worst. I think there's some of the worst songs they've ever made on it. I don't know the reasoning behind it. Dos is better, but it's still, it's experimental. I like that. I like some of the different kind of sounds that they work with, some of the different just kinds of music they're producing, and they're having fun. All 3 of these albums are them having fun. I feel like there's a right way to do that and a wrong way, and I feel like they chose the wrong way. And again, Uno has, I think, the best songs in it. I think also has the most best songs, has the best like overall quality to them, but still held back, and also it doesn't really hold up when you look at all of their other albums. Now this could immediately become controversial, but number 9, I'm putting Insomniac. Now I was born in 96, so I didn't listen to any Green Day. The first Green Day album I listened to from the very beginning was American Idiot. Okay, so that just to give you a little context of my age and where I stand, but I've gone back. Obviously I went back and I've listened to each of these albums like 100 plus times each. Insomniac is just one that, yeah, it's got great songs. And I'm not even saying it's bad, because it's not bad. I think really after Uno, none of these albums are bad. It's just which ones you like more. And with Insomniac, it's just like, it's a different style they're going for. It's definitely heavier. It's more like punk. It's different. It's more like grungy. But at the same time, there's not a lot of standout songs. Like, yes, we get the Brain Stew and Jaded and Walking Contradiction even. Like, there are some songs in there. But pretty much, besides those 3, Geek Stink Breath, like, is that really it? Besides that, you get a lot of just the songs that sound kind of exactly the same. They're 3 chords. This is when, and even when I reviewed this album, I kind of talked about it, they definitely fell into like the 3-chord system where all of their songs sound the same. I feel like albums like Insomniac did not help that, because even their standout songs, Jaded is like 3-4 chords. Brain Stew is literally 4 chords. All these songs are just the same thing, and they're pretty closely related chords too. They're not even that much different. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It worked for them back then. It still works. It's still a really solid album to listen to. But if I'm going back, and this is kind of how I'm thinking about this ranking, if I'm going back and I want to just, hey, I want to listen to a Green Day album today, which one would I want to do? Which, in a ranking, which one would I be more inclined to go back to? Insomniac just flat out is not nearly close to the top of that list. It's not really one that I'm always like really wanting to go back to, right? And that's okay. Now, number 8, I did 1039/Smoothed Out Slappy Hour. So this is the combination album. This is when they put all of their songs together that they basically recorded when they were very, very young. I like this album. And this is definitely where it jumps. This album is a ton of fun. This album is really, really solid. There are some weaker songs here. There's some songs that you just cannot understand 2 words that he's saying, because he's just so much mumbling, which was a problem earlier on. Same thing with Insomniac. That was a big problem with that, in my opinion, too. I like it more when I can understand what he's singing. I also think as the years have gone on, his voice has gotten, it's just soared. It's so much better than it used to be. And that does show. I mean, it shows in these albums. His voice is just a lot weaker. Still, there's something to that. Songs like At the Library. There's a lot. There's a lot of absolutely phenomenal songs. That being the first song anybody had ever heard of Green Day. Very, very good album from start to finish. Again, it's not necessarily one that I compared to the rest of them, I would want to jump back into, but it's definitely very, very solid. It's got a lot of really good songs. It's got some really fun solos, a lot of really awesome guitar work. Drumming is pretty much the same. I mean, there are definitely things that hold it back, right? That's ultimately why it made it to number 8. Number 7 is Revolution Radio, and I wanted to put this higher. I really did. I was looking, and I was saying, could I move 6? Could I move 5 down? But I think they're even better. Revolution Radio, the biggest problem with it is it's too short. That's it. That's honestly because it's a solid product. There's nothing absolutely amazing. I think Still Breathing is such a good song. Ordinary World is a phenomenal song, and obviously the way they've used it, it's kind of like, they're using it like they use Time of Your Life, which is really good company, and they believe in Ordinary World, the song, just as much, and I think it's warranted because the song is phenomenal. There's a lot of amazing songs on this album. I mean, from start to finish, it's just a fun, energetic, but done well. It's, I wouldn't even say it's them having fun, but it's like an energetic return to form, old-time Green Day. When that album came out, a lot of people said, this is at least the best since 21st Century Breakdown, maybe even better. I actually truly love 21st Century Breakdown, so I wouldn't say it's better than it, but it's really, really good. The only problem is it's just really short, and honestly, that's my problem probably going to be with Father of All. It's like it's only this many songs. Like it's under 10 songs. Again, you've had 2 albums go back to back with under 10 songs. It's one of my biggest problems, but it's just the length. There's just not enough songs, whereas you can go through the rest of these that I'm about to list off, and there's just so much quality there, and there's so many songs, so the quantity's there, but the quality is also extremely, extremely high, and that comes with number 6, Warning. This is, obviously we know what this did to Green Day back then, okay? When this album came out, it was kind of thought of like this is the end, and when they came back with eventually what was going to be Cigarettes and Valentines and then American Idiot, it was like if that album did not hit, they'd be over. They'd be considered a 90s band, it'd be over. But looking back at it, and I've always thought this, even when I knew people had said this because I would just look it up and stuff, but Warning has always been a really awesome album. And yeah, very different sounding. I can see why living back then, if I did. I mean, I was 4, but I didn't listen to them, right? So I had no idea. But I could see, like, if you were in your teenage years or if you were in your 20s or 30s and you had grown up, basically, with Dookie and Nimrod and Kerplunk and all these albums, and then you got Warning, I could see how it would be different. I would understand. I understand what happened, basically. But looking back at it now, I think it's really good. It's just got some phenomenal songs. It's got what kind of makes Green Day Green Day. It's got the kind of predictability to it, but in a good way. And it's got, I think Nimrod is the first one where he super leapt up with his vocals, but Warning, I think, even took it even better. Like songs like Waiting. There's a lot of really, even Macy's Day Parade. There's some really well-sung songs on Warning. I think it's a really big jump for him. And overall, it's got a really solid collection of songs that I just think now a lot of people will look back and say, yeah, it was looked at wrong, right? Now we can look at it a little bit better, hindsight being 2020. Number 5, I'm putting Kerplunk. This was tough because I think this could honestly go as high as 5, as low as even 7, like moving Revolution Radio and Warning around. There's just something with Kerplunk that I really like. It's got a lot of what I think 1039, the original songs, I like them, and I think the reason I put Kerplunk higher is because it's got a lot of what makes those songs great, but it adds them. His voice is even a little bit easier to understand. I think the music in general is more sophisticated, if that's even a thing you could say. Again, it's still, but like the solos are there. There's some different patterns he's using on the guitar. It's the first album with Trey Cool. Like, there's just a lot there that I think signals growth in their band from their first, from their first bout at doing these songs. So I think it really is a really big leap up there. It's got some of my favorite songs from them of all time, even like Who Wrote Holden Caulfield. I mean, that's a phenomenal. There's a lot of really good songs besides that one. 2,000 Light Years Away. All of these songs. It's just exactly what I want from them, right? Fast paced, energetic, but it's got the heart. It's got some really cool music elements in there with like solos and stuff. Just everything I kind of want from a Green Day album is in this. And really, that's the case going forward, because number 4 is 21st Century Breakdown. I love this album. I've said it I said in the review as well, this is a phenomenal album. I think, coming off of American Idiot, I could see why a lot of people thought this was a downgrade, but it's just so good. I think, honestly, it's so good. It's just got a sound to it that resonates with me. Maybe it's because this was kind of like peak me with Green Day. I listened to American Idiot, but I listened to it after it had come out, okay? 21st Century Breakdown was the first one I bought day one. I listened to day one. I was part of the community, you can say, right? Getting excited for it and all listening to it together. I think that helps it. I think that elevates it. It's probably the album I've listened to the most as well, maybe besides American Idiot, but it's just so good. I really have nothing else to say, but that, even talking about it right now makes me want to listen to it right after I record this. Number 3 is Dookie. It's just really good. I know a lot of people would say, Dookie would be their number 1. I think there's just better albums, and we're going to get there. Let's just do it. Number 2 is Nimrod, and number 1 is American Idiot. I just think they're fundamentally better albums. I think Nimrod is way more experimental. I think has better, the peak, not even, all right, let me say this. I think the peak songs of Dookie are really, really good, but there are some songs there that fall into the, could you tell me their names? Could you list off the names of them if I didn't tell you what they were? You know what I mean? And that's not like that. It's kind of picking on it, but it's to make a point. I think especially like the second half of Dookie, some of those songs, some of those minute and a half songs are like 82-second songs or whatever length they are. They're very short, and they're kind of the same thing. There's like 3 of them back to back to back, right? So I honestly feel like that hurts it because, in my opinion, Nimrod doesn't have that. American Idiot 1,000% doesn't have that. In my opinion, Nimrod and then American Idiot, I think, just has the better overall. Like Nimrod, I love the songs beginning to end. I do think, again, there's a couple of them in there that hurt the overall quality that just aren't up to par with the rest. American Idiot, I feel like, besides Extraordinary Girl, every other song is on the exact same playing field. Every single song is like elite. And with Nimrod, most of the songs are, but there's just a couple. And that's the only difference, I think, is American Idiot, there's literally only one. And Extraordinary Girl isn't even a bad song. It's just not up to the insane level of quality the rest are. Nimrod is kind of the same. And Dookie, the same thing, right? I think they just kind of gradually go down where, like, the hits of Nimrod, I think the hits of Nimrod are better than American Idiot. Time of Your Life is, I think, my favorite song. So that does hold it up a little bit higher. But Dookie has, Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise, When I Come Around, all these songs, so good, but there's just a couple that hold it back, right? I think that's just generally the problem. Phenomenal. I can't say the word phenomenal enough. These are terrific albums. I think this is probably where in a lot of people's, like, their list would change, but I want to know from you guys in the comments below, what are your rankings of every single Green Day album? List them off for me so I can see them. We can have a nice discussion about it. So let me know that stuff in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed, have that bell icon rung, because as we get closer to this album, I'm going to be covering it. We'll be having videos on the album when it actually comes out. Very, very excited to do that, and I hope to see you guys there.